Hello and welcome to The Power of Words. I'm Buck, and today I'll be reading Chapter 3 of my book, A Child Shall Rise, and the name of Chapter 3 is Ghost. William Blake lay completely still and silent, precariously perched on ceiling tiles of his now destroyed office. He could hear the footsteps of agents running down the corridor toward his office. Lots of agents. "Spread out. Proceed with caution. He may still be on this floor." 10 agents moved down the rubble-filled hallway as a single unit, checking every door as they went. Then they swept into the second office from the end, through the gaping hole where the door once was, and commenced a quick but methodical search. "Agent Gray, I found Agents Orange and Yellow. At least what's left of them. Their ID chips are destroyed. That's why our sensors haven't been able to locate them." "What about Blake? Is there any sign of him?" William tightened his grip on his blaster. He had heard of Agent Gray, who was the head of the agency's security team, but had never met him. In fact, no one he knew had ever met him. From the stories he'd heard, he imagined Agent Gray as being 8 feet tall and blaster-proof. He was rumored to be the attack dog of the agency, a man who was both relentless and ruthless. In fact, Agent Gray was only 6'3", but he was a man whose very presence commanded respect. His eyes were as jet black as his hair, which was in stark contrast to his pale skin. He had an awareness of his surroundings that made others uncomfortable. He seemed to look through people's pretenses and see exactly who they really were. "We found a piece of Blake's ID chip under the rubble. It appears he was close to where the blast initiated. We won't find any trace of him." Agent Gray took the fragment from the other agent, studying it closely, then looked around the office. "Isn't that convenient?" he said slowly, still scanning the office. Tapping the communication chip on his collar, he paused, taking a deep, thoughtful breath. "Central Security, give me the latest location of William Blake recorded by the bioscanner." An automated voice replied. "Voice recognition, Agent Gray, Security Chief, ID number 1864322571. Bioscanners last show the location of William Blake, Head Investigator of Unexplained Affairs, on level 480, Corridor F, Office 7620, at 1903. He was here just 7 minutes ago. Give me the latest location of William Blake's ID chip." "Employee ID chip number 815-267-00131 is presently on level 72, level 71, level 70, Stop! Central Security, stop all turbo lifts, only to be reactivated or opened on my command. Continue monitoring William Blake's ID chip and let me know if it moves." Agent Gray smiled, his thick lips curling at the edges. "Agents, with me." William waited until the footsteps of the security team grew more distant, then faded altogether. He knew it wouldn't be long until they found his ID chip stuck to the ceiling of the turbo lift and sent someone to finish searching his office. If they brought a portable bioscanner, they'd find him instantly. The security sensors and bioscanners on this floor were knocked out in the explosion, but if he tried to go down the stairs or use the turbo lift to get to a different floor, he'd show up on their sensors. "I've sure done it now. It won't be long until they know I haven't left this floor, and they'll have everyone up here looking for me." As William started to climb down from his hiding place, something caught his eye. There seemed to be a gap in the top corner between where one of the vertical plastisteel wall panels met with the ceiling. After working his way over to investigate, he found the panel had been knocked loose at the top from the force of the explosion, and that with a bit of effort, he could push it back enough to allow him to crawl through. Slowly sticking his head through the opening, all he could see was total darkness. William opened his agency tactical field bag and removed a set of illuminator glasses, quickly putting them on. Adjusting the settings to broad spectrum lighting, he activated the device, temporarily blinding himself in the process. As his eyes slowly acclimated, William saw a part of the agency that no one had seen since the place had been built. One level above was the roof to the building, but below him was a 479-story drop-off. In this great chasm, support beams, conduits, and cables looked like giant Galdorian ectowebs, connecting the inner plastisteel paneled walls to the outer permastone exterior. Knowing there was nowhere to go the way he came from, William's fight or flight instincts kicked in. He had to run. He had to get away, or at least find a place to hide until he could come up with a plan. The closest support beam was nearly his body length to the right and a little below him, but if he could get on it, he would be able to travel the web for as far as his eyes could see. Taking 3 quick breaths, then bracing himself, William pushed off of the plastisteel panel and grasped desperately for the beam, wrapping both arms around it and clinging for dear life. In the eerie silence of this forgotten world he found himself in, his own breathing and grunts of exertion seemed to echo in his ears. Well, if they didn't know where I was, they sure must now. Even if the motion sensors on this entire floor were knocked out, surely security has picked up the noise. As if in response to his unspoken thoughts, William heard the whir of approaching hover disks. Security droids are coming. Need to pull myself up. Get my blast. He never finished that sentence as suddenly the small droid rolled across the beam he was hanging from. The strain of exertion, the surprise of the droid, and sheer panic caused William to let go of the beam. No! He hit something hard, knocking the breath out of him and nearly giving him whiplash. He had fallen only about 10 feet and landed on a large power conduit. Another foot to either side, and he'd certainly have fallen to his death. That wasn't a security droid, he thought. That was just a systems maintenance droid. It wasn't programmed to notice people, but only to monitor and repair internal systems. Indeed, the droid was responding due to the explosion damaging the plastisteel wall panel in William's office, and was now conducting repairs. As William watched the droid hard at work, he thought, great, that might be my only way to get out of here, and now it's being sealed. But then another thought entered his mind. That little droid is actually covering my tracks. A slow smile came to his lips. They'll have no idea I'm here, and even if they get the sensors back online, I should be shielded on this side of the walls. Agent Gray stood in front of the turbolift doors, holding his right hand up over his head. His eyes studied his surroundings, looking for any sign. And in the silent corridor, he listened. The other agents with their blasters trained on the turbolift door dared not move or make a sound. Agent Gray was hunting. As he dropped his arm in a short, quick motion, he punched in the last override number and the doors snapped open. 2 agents rushed in, quickly scanning the inside of the lift. Nothing, sir. It's empty. Out, Agent Gray ordered as he stepped past the others. There is always something. His eyes swept the floor, the walls, then the ceiling. Here. Stretching up to reach the ceiling of the lift, Agent Gray plucked a small device from where it had been stuck. Turning to show the 2 agents who had checked the lift what he had found, Agent Gray, in a deep, gravelly tone, slowly said, "Nothing." His jet-black eyes and piercing gaze sent shivers down the agent's spines. I'll deal with you 2 later, but right now, I want an agency-wide lockdown. No one and nothing is to enter or leave this complex without my knowledge and approval. I want a complete security sweep of all decks, all offices, all toilet blocks, all lifts, and all equipment lockers. All personnel are to be verified by bioscanner. He's hiding somewhere, but we will find Blake. Now go. Agents Green and Brown entered Blake's destroyed office, carrying portable bioscanners. He won't be in here. Nothing could have survived this. Besides, we already checked this entire floor. He's gone. But the sensors would have detected him on the other decks. There's no way he could have gotten out of the complex without us knowing it. 3.5 hours later, Agent Gray received report that the entire complex had been searched top to bottom, without finding any clues to William Blake's whereabouts. Do it again. But, sir, do it again. As the other agent dashed out of the room, Gray closed his eyes and tried to calm his breathing. Stay rational. Don't let the frustration of being surrounded by incompetence dull your mind. The rage won't help here. There's a time and a place for that, but not now. Blake is here, and we will find him. Another 3 hours later, a small squinty-eyed man in a glittering silver suit entered the security control room. Agent Gray, call off the search and return the complex to normal functions. We've wasted enough time and resources looking for this man who obviously isn't here anymore. I'm positive you'll continue your search until you will find him, and we'll deal with him at your discretion. But I can't let the security breach bring our entire operation to a halt. Looking down at the man in his ridiculous, shiny outfit, Gray hissed his reply between clenched teeth. Yes, Director Smythe. As the wealthiest man on Arenas Prime, Cilantro Smythe founded the agency and financed most of its various interests. Although the agency was divided into dozens of departments, with separate division chiefs heading each one, he liked to have an active control in every aspect of agency business. With his wealth and position came power and control. Smythe relished the power. He couldn't get enough of it. He viewed his division chiefs as puppets for him to control, and as for the rest of the workers, they were too insignificant in his mind to bother with. He routinely had people removed from their positions for any perceived offense. This included a man who sneezed on him in a turbolift, a division chief who dared to disagree with him, and at least 3 women who spurned his attention. Smythe had a brilliant mind, but over the last few years it had become warped and paranoid. He was convinced that everyone wanted to take what he had, including his life. That's why he had militarized the entire complex and promoted the most dangerous being on the planet, Agent Gray, to Chief of Security. Whenever Smythe had a problem that his money and influence couldn't take care of, he unleashed Gray, and the problem disappeared. William Blake looked around, hoping to find inspiration on what to do next. All around him was a labyrinth of internal control systems and support structures, stretching as far as the illuminated glasses would allow his eyes to see. He was alive, for now. Okay, I'm a fugitive, stuck in the walls of a government complex I used to work for, and I'm being hunted by a security team that wants me dead. So much for plans A and B. All right, so that was chapter 3 of A Child Shall Rise. Obviously, if you haven't watched the first 2 chapters, you should go back and watch those first. I'll be uploading chapter 4 sometime within the next couple days. Hope you enjoyed it. If you like my book or my my poems or short stories or any of my videos that I've shared on this, please like and subscribe. And thank you for tuning in to The Power of Words. I'm Buck. Have an awesome day. Bye.